And in this video, I'll be covering for the first time on this channel the police interview with DC Wolfgang Bird. Now, to give some context to this video, DC Wolfgang Bird was Darren Nichols' police handler after the murders of Tucker, Tate and Rolfe. What we cannot say categorically, however, is whether Darren Nichols was a police informer or not before these murders were committed.
It was a crime which pushed everything else off the front pages. 3 men, all known criminals, found shot dead in the Essex countryside. It was a cold-blooded, professional killing. The victims had many enemies, but which one wanted them executed?
And welcome back to a new video on the Essex Boys case. As always, if you are enjoying the content, please do give the video a thumbs up. And if you're interested in the Essex Boys case, or simply true crime in general, don't forget to hit the subscribe button below. The following interview is being tape recorded. The time now is 19:07 in the evening on the 14th of May 1996. This is an interview with Mr. Wolfgang Bird, and those present are Detective Inspector Down. Okay, I'll remind you that you're still under caution, Wolfgang. You understand what that means? I do. And you've had a private consultation with your solicitor and a cup of tea? That's correct. Okay, Mr. Bird, what I'm going to do first is play you a tape recording of a telephone conversation from, I believe, the 10th and the 11th of May 1996, and this is a recording of a police telephone at Braintree Police Station, which I think actually is your desk phone. Hello? Alright? You can save some money and ring me home if you want. Nah, don't worry, Darren, it's the firm's phone. Oh, alright. Yeah, you can pop round. Hang on, let me just try and see if I can sit down without the phone cutting off. You still there? I'll call you home if you're worried. Okay, yeah, ring that. Okay, I'll stop it there for one moment. First of all, can I ask you, do you recognise those two voices? Yeah, the louder voice is me and the other one is Darren Nichols. Fine. And you're now phoning him somewhere? Back at his house, yeah. From the police station telephone, would that be? Wherever your desk is? I mean, I don't know, I've not been at Braintree. Well, sounding by the background noise, I'd say I'm in the office. I mean, I have to accept that it's somewhere in the police station, yeah. Fine, so you're happy that that's you, and that's Mr. Nichols in the soft-spoken voice? Yes, okay. I can also confirm for the tape that it appears to my ear that it's the same two people talking, so let's continue with the next call, shall we? Hello, Darren? Yeah, look, he's come round. You don't know this Jag's sold, alright? Right. Because Bulging's got it in his head that we put it in there for like 3.6? Yeah. And he said we could take $3 cash. I've had it in the paper for weeks. Yeah. You know what I mean? So what'd you do? You sell it, don't you? Yeah, exactly, Darren. I mean, I don't know how Bulging looks on this. He rang me up earlier, Bulging, and went, well, you know, if you make a profit, we'll sell it, he said. Someone offers you 3.5, take it. 3.5? He hasn't sold cars before, has he, Darren? No, I mean, I said at the minute I'm looking at a profit. It cost 2.6, I spent £64 on adverts, and I'll sell it for $3, I said. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and he wants to send it abroad anyway. Does he? Yeah. Oh. I mean, he's only going to get used once. Right. Just for running some dough abroad. Some dough, Darren? Yeah. Money, yeah. Right. So that's for the next time, you know? The biggie. Yeah. Yeah. His other pal's still there down the brook. They're still down in the other wilds of the world, and they apparently will be back about Tuesday, because they're now in possession of what they want. Right, okay, Darren. Yeah, they're coming back. Right. You know, because he said to me, I'm trying to use different vehicles for everything, he said, because the amount of times, like, you know, Jack's used the same motor to pick up the gear off the beach. Right. He said we're thinking about using a different motor and all that. Right. That's quite good, that is, Darren. So really all you've got to do then is steal the car when it goes abroad next time and keep the loot. That wouldn't be a fucking bad idea, would it, Wolfie? No, it wouldn't. Okay, I'll stop the tape there for a moment. Now, the first suggestion of any criminal activity is directly from you. Yeah. Okay, I'll continue on with the tape. That'd be a bloody good idea, Wolfie. Wouldn't that be nice between us? Yeah. It'd be like, what, 100 and something odd £1,000? Hang on a minute. No, more than that, actually. No, it'd be about 150 grand, I reckon. Oh. Yeah, there's lots of gear down there where they're going. Yeah, exactly, Darren. More than that, actually. I reckon they're paying 7.5 this time, they said. Oh. Yeah, he said he wants to borrow my Land Rover to put his boat in. Right. Yeah, sometime next week. Doesn't matter this time, really, does it? Nah. Didn't think I'd bother to tell you, Urge to catch someone? Oh, no. Let it run, Darren, because you'll have a nice little bit of play round here anyway. Yeah. Oh, blimey, you'll be able to get loads of people. I'll dish it out like sweets. Yeah, as long as you get paid for it, Darren. Well, I'll make sure I get the cash before I tell you. Yeah, exactly. Because I can't afford to lose it. I don't know, I suppose there's always the fact that I could go back to him and say, look, someone took this, it got nicked. What do you want me to do? Chase them around for the money? I could always play that on him, Yeah, that's true, Darren. In fact, I could even do that, even if they did pay me. Yeah, exactly, that's what I was just thinking, yeah. I mean, he can't say a lot, can he, Mick? No. Okay, stopping the tape there just briefly. He is clearly setting the agenda there during that telephone conversation, but you're still going along with it. Yeah. And you're clearly agreeing, it appears, for him to supply drugs. Dish them out like sweeties, that's what he says, so that you can go and nick them. Is that correct? Well, I'm agreeing it, yeah, but I wouldn't have actually followed through with that course of action. No? That's not your intention? No, it's never my intention, no. I'm agreeing, keeping him on hook. Right, okay. Let's continue on. How many people go driving with a cash then, Darren? Oh, only 2. Yeah? What, they leave it in the car? Yeah, they leave it in the car, yeah. That's very remiss of them, isn't it, Darren? Yeah, they used to carry it on, but, they used to get it out of the boat and they decided that, it probably wasn't worth walking around with a couple of $100 like a dickhead with suitcases on a boat, so now he just leaves it in the motor, Yeah, which is a shame, if you know what I mean. Yeah, exactly, Darren. It's a shame you haven't got a spare key. Oh, fuck me, I'd get into that. Yeah, it'd be better with a spare key, Darren. Because all you do is then just drive on with them, make sure you follow them somewhere near, hang around when they go up deck and you hang around a bit. Yeah. Yeah, then you'd swap it from one boot into the other and just drive off with them at the same time. Yeah, pretty sad people there'd be, Wolfie. Okay, stopping the tape again there. Now, Wolfgang, that's quite clearly you setting all of the agenda there. You're actually embarking on a criminal enterprise, it sounds, to steal that money. Yeah. Have you got the key? No, but we can do it. We can get on the boat. We can follow them on. We can do this. We can do that. You and it's him agreeing with you, which is a little bit different from your memory earlier. No, I'm accepting that, but all I'm doing, all I've gained out of that conversation is that if I miss this next load, he's taking a car out. We know it's going to be the Jag. We know it's going to be full of money. So what I'm saying, as I've said before, anything to obtain information and the set of results. I never would ever or had any intention of following through with any part of that conversation or anything that I've ever said to him. But the appearance of that conversation is that you are suggesting to him that you and he should steal and share that money. Well, yeah, that's definitely the appearance, but not the intention. Okay, but it clearly is the appearance that he hadn't thought of that. He's now got that gem of a thought in his mind. He didn't have that until you suggested it. Would you agree with that? Well, he hasn't said it to me before, but I know what my intention is, and it isn't to carry out anything that's suggested on there anyway. Has he ever suggested to you that he could rip them off, having got the gear or got the information? I think he probably has, in part, but I can't remember the conversations that I've had anyway. I think, in fairness, if you listen to that, the suggestion does almost liven his voice up and he becomes quite eager of the idea. So although we can't look into his mind on listening to that, it seems to me that he believes it's a good idea. Again, I don't know his state of mind. But previous to those conversations, as I say, he'd been getting jittery. So I'm just saying anything to keep him going, really. I see. So you're just jollying him along, is that right? Yeah, in fact, I would like to say again that I don't know what time the conversation was, but I'd had a couple of drinks by then anyway, and I was in a frivolous mood. Fine, okay. Now, I'm also unsure of what time this took place at the police station, so I can't say at the moment, but let's continue on with the call. Yeah, they would be sad, wouldn't they, Darren? Christ. Well, that's going to be in a couple of weeks anyway, Wolfie. I'm sure I could get a key back for some reason. Yeah, or if you've got some of the papers, have you got the papers for the vehicle? Just get one, Darren, It's worth thinking about, isn't it? Well, worth making one way or another. He'd never know where to look. No, he wouldn't, Darren, would he? Well, I mean, he would, but I mean, it wouldn't be me. He'd be looking all round. Exactly. He wouldn't know where to look, would he? No, because I wouldn't know nothing about it. No, exactly. I mean, on a side note, he wants to borrow my Land Rover for Tuesday or something to put his boat in because he's fed up with using his Hilux. No, that's made me think of something, Darren, actually. You know there's somebody called The Firm. I haven't got the name of them yet. They're looking at somebody in Clacton. They're following him around at the moment. Somebody named Daly. A bloke called Daly? Oh, yeah. Do you know him, Darren? No. Oh. But he's from Clacton. I got concerned that some other firm had got hold of Mick or something, but the bloke they're looking at is called Daly. Not Peter, is it? I don't know, Darren. I could find out, but it's Clacton way. Yeah? Yeah. Why? Do you know him, Darren? Well, no, unless his first name's Peter. He's one of the dickheads who does a bit of driving for Mick. Oh. But I can't see it being Peter. Do you know what I mean? I'm pretty sure it ain't Peter, because I've heard his last name and I'm sure it ain't Daly. No? No. I'll tell you what I can do, Wolfie. I'll hang up the phone, I'll give Mick a ring and say a geezer came round here, so there's a geezer round your way called Daly, got some gear, do you know him? I could ring him up on his mobile now and ask him. Yeah, good idea, Darren. I'll give him a ring right this second. Alright then, bye. Okay, stopping the tape there again, just for one moment. Now, is any of that true? What, the conversation? No, I know the conversation's true. Is any of the content of that last bit true? That's the bit I'm looking at there. Mr. Daly, the firm following him around in Clacton, is any of that true? Yeah, I was after a bloke called Daly. There was an interest in a bloke called Daly, yeah. It was someone doing some surveillance? Following around, as you put it on there? I don't know. They're looking at a bloke called Daly in Clacton. Who was? I don't know. Okay, why are you telling him that, Mr. Bird? Because I want to know from him, whether he knows anything about Daly or whether he's involved in the Steel Saga, as I say on there. And he's going to go off and do what I want him to. Find out if they are. Fine, but at the same time, you're clearly likely to compromise a police operation or a customs operation, whoever it is. You've told him we are following him around, or a firm is following around a man called Daly. Do you understand what I'm asking? Yeah, I understand what you're asking, but again, that's not my intention. It might come across that way, but I want to know from him, so I've got to ask him, do you know about a man called Daly? Well, you can ask him about a man called Daly without asking him a man called Daly because a firm up here is looking at him. That's subtly different, isn't it? Yeah, but the way that's phrased is not the way you've interpreted it. It's somebody's looking at him. It could be me that's looking at him, for instance. Okay, Mr. Nichols is very well connected, you're telling us. Right, so he should know. But he's not a fool, is he? And if he has got a man called Daly, who he knows, who is his pal, I don't know, you can think of any scenario, really. Yeah. And you don't know it either. And you've now given him the nod, there's this police or whoever surveillance operation in progress. If that's the case, yes. Well, you're telling me that someone was looking at him. Well, they were interested in that bloke called Daly, as I say. I don't know how it came in, but somewhere in the office it came into being, so I'm asking him, which I would do with a lot of other things that came into the office, or intelligence that does. I'd be onto the phone to an informant and say, what do you know about this man? The mere fact that I'm asking about him would give him a clue. But I'm not saying to them there is somebody following Daly about, definitely going to nick him, definitely going to do this and that, etc. I've just asked him, done it in my own phraseology. Okay, let's play the next telephone conversation between yourself and Mr. Nichols. Hello? Alright, Darren. No, wrong firm, mate. He said, unless you're getting a bit off Pete, he said, but I've never heard the name before. Oh, right, okay, fine. Pete only got rid of something like 7 kilos in 2 months. Oh, right. So I don't think he's somehow going to be in, Wolfie. Alright, fine, okay. He's not going to crop up as something major, I wouldn't have thought. Now, Darren, the other Mick has been talked about recently. I don't know if you've heard anything about him, old Donnelly? Oh, yeah, like my mate said, fuck him. yeah. Because he didn't want to get back to him, Rang him a couple of times. He said, yeah, he'd be back on, no problem. The only thing I can do there is go for his brother John. I mean, I spent a bit of time with him, like 18 months. Yeah, there seems to be something happening along there, Darren. Here, you know anyone who wants a couple of pints of BMK? Just a couple of pints. Is that all, Darren? Well, it's mad, but believe it or not, me mate said his dad got some oil drums to keep diesel in, and they were BMK, Kodak BMK drums. Right. He said they had a couple of pints left at the bottom. I mean, I said, I might have a mate that might have some use for them. Right, yeah. The trouble is though, Darren, it's too small, isn't it, to make any viable trip, really? Yeah, I guess so. You need a gallon to make 5 kilos. Yeah, exactly, Darren, yeah. Oh well, I'll say that to him. Have a word with your dad, he reckons his dad's too honest though. Well, to be honest, Darren, that might be worth getting hold of Mick, wouldn't it, I suppose? Yeah, could be. I'll have a word with him. Yeah, just say, look, there's only a couple of pints left, but if you've got any more, it's a little bit to add to it, innit, Yeah, it could be a good idea. Might be able to sell it. Yeah, that's right, Darren. I mean, you might be able to get a couple of £100 for it or something. Yeah, might be able to make some money out of it. Yeah. All right then, Wolfie. I'll go for John then. This thing's been printed heavily. It's got to be John that gets it for him. Yeah. Because this geezer works in the print. And he actually came home with like a 40-gallon drum. Yeah? I mean, well, they don't use it in printing particularly, Darren. Well, this geezer works for some printing type company in London. He's like a plant manager. Goes around making sure everything's okay. Yeah? I mean, what do they actually use it for then, Wolfie? Because he had a Kodak 40-gallon of it, Well, empty drum. He got the empty drum. It had a splash in the bottom. Yeah, well, look, I'd like to see what it says on the label, Darren. Well, that's easily sorted out. Yeah. See what's on the drum, Darren, because there might be an answer there. Yeah? Yeah. Because it does actually say on it, though, BMK. I haven't seen it. I mean, my mate said it says BMK. I said, how do you know that then? He said, well, it said Kodak something processing, and then it said blah blah BMK. It'll be interesting if it is the right stuff, Darren, because I've never known of it used in that nature before. Oh, right. I thought it was used for photography. No, most of it, Darren. Well, it basically a very small. It's what do you call it? A very small reagent. Oh yeah. Basically, it just starts other experiments off, and occasionally it's sort of an industrial-like cleaner of sorts, but not in huge amounts. Cheap perfume, that sort of thing. I mean, if you bought 100 millilitres, well, it'd last you all year. Not in my house. No, exactly. Not in your house, Darren, but, find out anyway if it's the right stuff. Could be interesting if they're using it in that sort of quantities. Well, it's 2 Kodak 40-gallon drums. He bought them home. Fucking hell, Darren. Because France said, he was after some places to keep the diesel, and his wife's dad said, I'll get you some drums from work. And he came home with his 2 40-gallon Kodak drums with BMK banged on the side of them. All right, yeah, check that out. Anyway, what are you doing over the weekend? Sod all, Wolfie. I've probably got to go to Bolgins tomorrow. I'm going to have to wait and say, Bolgin, they offered me $3,000 for that car. I think we should take it, Otherwise I can get the car back. Yeah. I mean, there's no problem there. They only want to drive abroad in it. Yeah, exactly, Darren. Yeah, take the profit. I mean, I think I should, because it would, give me the rest of the money for me bird then. Yeah, certainly. All right then, Darren. Well, that's brilliant. That's good news. It's all coming together. Yeah, I'm working all weekend. What about the pond side of things, Wolfie? Yeah, we're looking at that. We're going to have to do something on that, Darren. I'll talk to you off the phone tomorrow somehow. I'll come and find you. We'll have a chat. It'll be quiet tomorrow. Yeah. Nice quiet day. I'm trying to get out of working for Bolgin tomorrow, to be honest. Well, look, if you're running around doing the usual house things on a Saturday, then don't bother. I'm also working Sunday as well. Yeah, well, we are decorating. We're doing it this evening, We're doing it in the evening times because I've given up drinking. I'm trying my fucking hardest. Tonight it'll be 96 hours. Okay, so stopping the tape there just for a moment. I've let that run on because there's some other bits of conversation and, of course, the relevance of BMK. It's a very important component, isn't it? It is, yeah. In fact, you can't make certain substances without it, no? Well, because previously spoken about with Mick Donnelly, who I actually took off on the squad for the running of an amphetamine factory, he knows Mick Donnelly, so he says, through Mick Steele. Once he mentioned BMK, putting the two together, if he can put Donnelly together with running a factory, and there is this intelligence, as he said before, that there's this factory that he's looking to do, I was very interested in another job getting off the ground. Well, I understand what your motives appear to be, and that's what you're telling me at the moment. But you can't be a white Charger with a white knight on top of it, can you? Doing it on your own. Well, unfortunately, and it's documented throughout my service, and very much so in the last few years, unfortunately, that's what I am. Everything I do hourly-wise, I've put in more unpaid overtime than anybody else. I don't claim expenses. I get phone calls every time of the day and night. I go out at odd hours of the day and night. I'll bow down to the beck and call of these people in the hope of getting the job done. That is my nature. That is what I'm best at. Unfortunately, I play to my strengths in that field. My strengths are not paperwork or recording it. My strengths are recorded through the number of informants, pay cuts and results our division has had. and I would hasten to add, mostly through quality jobs, mostly through me. I have given informants my own phone, mobile phone, that's why I haven't got one anymore, which they've run up huge bills on. I've given them cars, albeit £200 cars, which they've then blown up or they've lost, all in an attempt to get the job done. And it's documented and well known. I'm considered a bit of a loony throughout the station, but also appreciated for the amount of work and results that I get. The motives are purely for my kudos, obviously for my kudos, and the benefits of the job. My working practices are somewhat slack as can be seen, and I guess that's why I'm here. Okay, well we'll come back to some of that in a moment. Now, is there anything that you want to say about that tape at this stage? No, none whatsoever at this stage. Okay. Then to me, and I'm just interpreting what I'm hearing for the second time today, that sounds like you agreeing to do all sorts of skullduggery with this particular person, and you haven't passed it on to anybody. You're really sucking him in, almost like an agent provocateur, to encourage other people to commit crime, to supply drugs and to steal from other people, etc, etc, etc. And that sounds on that tape recording that there is a total agreement between the two of you. Well, it's an agreement where a course of action wouldn't have been followed, because I wouldn't have followed it through. Okay, so you don't follow through any criminal enterprises with these people? No. Going back to what you were saying earlier, now and again a point that you've just raised there, you spoke about your own kudos, yeah, is that correct? Yeah. Now, every detective, all of us, one of the most important things that we like to do when we get informants is getting good results. It is good kudos for the individual, but one of the best ways of attaining that kudos, and especially if you're dealing with a particular informant or someone of good criminality, high up on the ladder shall we say, is obviously letting senior officers know within our force what you're doing. One of the best ways for you to have gained kudos on what you are saying is this alleged importation that you are gaining information from Nichols on. One of the best ways for you to have gained kudos was to have gone straight to your PCI, who would have then in turn gone straight to whoever was running the Rettendon Incident Office. Because you know Mr. Steele, Mickey Steele. Yeah, I know of him, yeah. You know certain things about him from the information that we have, which I'm not going to divulge during this interview, but you are also aware that at Rettendon there is a murder incident office. Yeah, that's correct. And now you are aware that every informant, every officer who acts as a handler of an informant, which you've been, has to report to a controller, and that controller has to be at least a rank of detective inspector, or at least a rank of inspector in some divisions. Is that correct? That's correct, yeah. Not the rank of sergeant. Now I understand that during the course that you have reported a lot of these things to Sergeant Stimpson. Is that fair to say? Well, he's aware that I was still talking to them, yeah. Now, on a job of this scale, for you to get your kudos, as all of us would have done, surely you should be going straight to your controller. Surely even probably bypassing him, going straight to Sergeant Stimpson. Right, well, I've accepted that. That is an internal policy that I've put my hands up to, but I'm working to a result, as I've said before. What they say and what happens can be miles apart. Nothing has happened, but I'm trying to get out of him the important feature of the job, and that hasn't happened until then, up until the last few days. Mr. Payne was aware because I registered the informant, so was the DI, because he sees the forms that I'm talking about now. He is aware that there is a Rettendon involvement because Mr. Bright came over and actually saw. Well, I would have presumed. I'm presuming that he is aware that he's registered to me. If there is anything to be gained, there should have been some trust with me to come and approach me and say, look, that bloke might be of interest to the inquiry. If we go and see him, he might say, fuck off, I don't know what you're talking about. And we've got nothing. You try and get out what we want. That never ever happened, so I am trying to obtain to get him manoeuvred into a point, one, where I will get a result, or the job gets a result, i.e. Steele, who might be into something else anyway, and he'll be more obliged to be of help if he knew that the likes of Steele were out of the way. He might have opened up to somebody on paper. What they say and what they commit to paper is again different things, obviously. Oh, they're on different planets sometimes, and quite often they are. I agree with you there, Mr. Bird. But, you know, again, I'm just reiterating that I don't and I cannot really disregard your advice on what I should have done procedure-wise. That hasn't been applied, but whatever I have done has only been for the purpose of achieving a result for the job, you know, with no intention of me benefiting one way or the other. I'm trying to get that across to you because this is my opportunity to do so, and obviously what your opinion and what other people's opinion after listening to this tape will have of me as a person. I think one of the questions DC Keeble was actually asking you is, who is the controller for your informants? Or for this particular informant, Nichols? Is it the sergeant or is it the inspector? Have you ever divulged any of this information to your inspector, Mr. Orp? No. No, not directly, I don't think so, no. You've spoken to Mr. Payne, I accept that, and you've certainly spoken to your sergeant, I hear what you say on that. Yeah. Oh, hang on. No, Mr. Orp, I think, as far as I'm concerned, is aware that I talked to somebody about an importation. Oh, okay. Okay, let's move on. Again, going back to what you mentioned earlier. You mentioned your first contact with Mr. Nichols. One of your first contacts with him was through a friend. It then transpired that he was the put-up of this job you described at a pond or a lake. Yeah, a lake, yeah. Yeah, I think you said 30 to 40 kilos. I mean, I don't know the exact figure. I'm sure you know. But from your knowledge of regional crime squad work, which you worked on for 5 years, would you not have thought it would have been better for us to report that along the line with senior management and for that cannabis to be looked at in a different way, as opposed to Braintree Division dealing with it? From your knowledge of regional crime squad work, there was a possibility there, a very, very good chance of catching a good team of criminals. Point taken, but totally wrong. You've got that is an untried, untested, unknown informant at that stage. I've got him pissed the night before at a dude that we're all at, and the next day he talks to me and says, right, fair enough, this will be your starter for 10, alright? I then go to the DI and I say, look, I've got this untried, untested informant who's saying that in that lake there might be 30 or 40 kilos. The DI then makes the phone calls and makes the decisions and takes the course of action that's to follow. We'll get a diving section out on rest days, and they went and found it. Stop a minute there, Wolfgang. We're not here to investigate procedures of the police force, we're here to investigate yourself. Yeah, but all I'll say is that on the tape, and from your conversation, it appears to me that you are making at least 3 agreements on that tape. Number 1, for him to supply drugs, therefore your concern is to supply. Number 2, the importation. Number 3, that you and he are conspiring to steal money from unknown persons as far as I'm aware. And what was the other one on there? I think that was it, wasn't it? Well, possibly you could argue the perverting the course of justice, if that's the right phrase to use, in relation to letting an outsider of our organisation know there is an ongoing investigation on. That's the thing with Clacton and the man following, what's his name? Daly? Daly, that's it. That is what I'm saying that the tape appears to say. What do you actually say in relation to those allegations? I see what you're saying, but your interpretation is incorrect to my interpretation, which is I am saying or doing anything with him to continue my relationship with him as an informant to get the course of action out of it that he initially told me about, which is Mr. Steele importing drugs, and I need to know where and when. Otherwise, it's all useless. It's all useless information as I see it. And the dated thing that he mentioned, that is simply if somebody phoned me or I knew of somebody that he wanted to look at, I'm going to phone them or phone somebody. That's the point of the informant. And I would say somebody's looking at so-and-so. What do you know about him? Your interpretation is not what my interpretation intended to be. If I wanted to say to him he is being followed around, please phone him up and warn him. I know I'm not that stupid. I would never do something like that.